Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Here we are now with the Chieftain build. This is the group build over on Black Rifle Model Works. It's the Elizabethan group build, and basically you can build anything that was used or built in Great Britain during the Queen's reign. So that's 1952 to 2022. So basically I chose a Chieftain and decided to do it in Berlin camo, as a lot of you will know. Now, I've made some pretty big cock-ups here, I think. Please tell me in the comments below. I remember recording part 10. I know I made a part 10 and I showed you all the unmasking and speeded it up and everything. Please tell me, have any of you seen it? Or did I delete it before I even put it out? Because it's completely gone off my computer. It's gone from my folder. It's gone from the Chieftain folder. It's not in YouTube. And it's not in the recycle bin. So it's gone for good. So, if you didn't see it, I'm sorry, but we've missed a video if that's the case. So I'm calling this one part 10, although it might be part 11. So there she is, all done. For those of you who don't know, I use magnets to hold the side skirts on. So they fit on there lovely like so. And really happy with how it's come out. And part 10 was all about unmasking and then going back in and doing all the touch-ups and stuff. So I've done all that now. I had to do some touch-ups here, over here. Basically where I had issues with that Meng paint, it was flooding, it was actually getting under the tape. So as you know, when I spray with masking, I always like to keep the paint dry. But there we go. The only reason that skirt is falling off is because there's masking tape on these magnets here. That's why that's falling off. So once that masking tape is removed, they will stay in place. Absolutely fine. So it's also very warm today, and I've got a feeling that's wanting to warp. It just doesn't want to stay in place because it just wants to be a pain. So anyway, there we go. Right, so it's not going to stay on there, is it? So basically this is the model. So if you haven't seen it, if part 10 never existed, then here it is. There's the turret, and then we've got the exhaust here at the back, and the toolboxes and lots of bits and pieces, all done with the brown, grey and white. So lots and lots of work, a hell of a headache, but really pleased with how it's come out. Subsequent to part 10, I then introduced these tracks, because as we all know, the main tracks that come in the kit are lovely. Okay, they're very flexible, they're very nice, but the biggest downside to them is they're single-sided. So one side you have a pin between each track, and the other side you have a gaping hole. So basically when you build the model, one side of your tank is going to have a hole. So that's not good. Now there's a company called Quick Tracks that are fairly newish to the tracks world. I'd certainly never heard of them. I'd heard of these things, the quick masks, which is, there's the card there, quick wheel masks, and this is for that. This is for the Chieftain. And I'll be using these in a minute. But they've ventured into the world of tracks. So they sent me a couple of sets of tracks to go with the Chieftain. Here's some spare links here. It says on here 250 links. I had about 270, I think, so it was lucky. But I made a video about it, and then I took it down. I had all sorts of trouble getting these links together. And if you saw, I'm not going to put it back up again, so don't ask for it to go back up. But if you saw it, you'll notice I had a hell of a job putting them together. It was physically hurting my fingers to try and get them to go together, which I thought was very strange, because they also sent me these, and these are the track links for the British tank cruiser Cromwell. Okay, and these are just lovely. They go together beautifully, no problem whatsoever. So I sort of couldn't understand what was going on there, but I just put it down to the fact that these tracks are wider. There's 4 pins rather than the 2 you got on there, but it just, something didn't seem right. So, but we built them up. They're here in the box, and they're okay. But the trouble is, certain links, I can't get them out. It's stuck on that lid of that cardboard. Oh, get out! Right. So you can see they're nice and flexible and everything. Everything's good. These have certain stiff areas because some of the links are stiff. So Christoph, who's the designer, you can see him there. His name is here. Designed by Christoph Mucha. There. Okay, so he's the guy that originally got in touch with me. and then the company that manufacture them work on his design and then perfect the process. And what was happening originally, these were going to have individual track pads, so you could paint the tracks and then just clip the pads in afterwards. But they found because it was so thin, they were starting to bow when they were moulding or when they were generating. So basically what they've done is made them in one piece, but they've changed the material to get this sort of rubber colour. Now if you look at these links here, these things are absolutely gorgeous. These are in like a grey material, and these are in a black or a black grey material. Now this is slightly softer, so they go together a lot easier. The other thing that happened, apparently, now I've spoken, 3 people have contacted me. Christoph, a guy who owns the company, is somebody else comment on my video. Why didn't you contact me before you put the video out? I don't even know who you are. I didn't even know who these things were coming from, and nobody told me that Quick Tracks were sending them. Christoph just said, I work for a company, I design tracks, and they want to send you some of their Chieftain tracks to show on your build. As it turns out, this is basically a 3-man affair from what I can gather. So you've got a designer, you've got a manufacturer, and you've got a sort of marketing person. So Christoph designed the tracks, then him and the manufacturer worked together to perfect the process and get something that worked really nicely. They messed around with materials, they messed around with tolerance, and they got something that worked really, really well. So they said, there you go. They sent a load off to the guy that does the marketing, and he sent me my track links. It would appear that I have a mixture of the development and the good links, which is why, if you remember seeing the video, some went together fine, some just would not go together at all. And that's what the problem is. And the trouble is, because this material is quite hard, if you force one together, it breaks the pin off. So now that one is now scrap. And the trouble is, invariably, when you because you've broken the, sorry, let's go to the other end. Because you've broken the pin from here and here on the inside of those links, then when you remove this one, you're probably going to break the pins from this one as well. So you're kind of in a rock, between a rock and a hard place. Now, the manufacturer has been in touch and said, I really don't understand what is going on here. He actually got a bag of track links, and he got his wife to put them together. And he has admitted, in the video I told you it's best to put them down on the bench, which is what they tell you. They've actually discovered with this type of link, it is better to just clip them together with your hands and build them up as you go. He gave a bag of links to his wife, and she built up a full track length in about 10 or 15 minutes, he said. So obviously there are issues, because if you remember, I had real trouble putting these together because they were just hurting my hands. It was so hard to get together. So you would only assume that a lady with smaller fingers would possibly have less pain threshold than me with my big hands and do welding and all that. You can only assume, I guess. So they're sending me another, well, they have sent me another set. So basically, that's why this build has been stalled for a few weeks, because I was initially waiting for the tracks to come, and now I'm waiting for another lot. So what I'm going to do is get a video out there, because I know a lot of you Chieftain fans will be missing what I'm doing. So what I thought I'd do is get another video out there, and what we'll do in this video, we'll concentrate on painting the wheels, and we'll use the wheel mask. So I've never used one of these before. As I've said before, I generally use these. What I'll do is I'll mask off all that area, and then I'll hold the wheel in there and paint it. But these things are much better. So the only downside is that costs money, and if you've got one of them already, it's free. So, but I think this is going to do a lot nicer job. So what I'm going to do is get my bench all tidied up, and then we'll come back and we'll get some tire black down on the wheels, and then we'll paint them. And if you're wondering why they're green, it's because in reality these tanks were delivered to the Berlin forces in Euro camo, so it would have been black and green, and then they were told to paint them, and their instruction was to paint, and they brush painted everything. So I intend to leave some little bits of green showing, especially on the backs of the wheels, and all this area down in here in the hull, this is all masked off, that's all green as well, so it's going to be staying green. So that's what I've done. Right, so let me get myself sorted and I'll be back in a sec. So we've got all our wheels now mounted. These are mounted on the little crocodile clips. These wheels are all mounted on wooden sticks because they've got the poly caps in them, so they fit on there lovely. And then these are on sticks. These aren't going to have any tyre rubber on them because obviously these are idlers and these are sprockets. Okay, so I'm sorry if I get terminology wrong, guys. I grew up in America. I've worked mainly with American tanks, so a lot of my terminology in America, I know someone told me I call these things side shields and I should call them bazooka plates or something like that. I'm going to call them side shields, that's what they are in the instructions. And then these are, I call these return rollers, but they're actually called I can't remember what they're called now, but never mind. It doesn't really matter what I call them, does them? It's what's on the screen. So please don't persist in telling me that I'm using the wrong terminology. It doesn't really matter, does it? It doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter if I call that an egg, I call that a sausage and a piece of bacon. If I try and eat it, it's a different thing, but it doesn't really matter what I call it, does it? So, right, we're going to paint these rubber black because we've got rubber on the tyres. Hope it's okay to call it rubber. So here's the tyre rubber from MRP, which is a lovely colour, although it does have a little bit of a purple tinge to it. But it's a very nice rubber colour. Then we have the LP65 rubber black from Tamiya, which as you can see is very grey indeed. Although when you look at it like this, you really should look at the one they're dried, and you can see the XF85 rubber black is actually a lot darker. But when they're actually put down and dried, they may be the same colour. This one here, Tyre Black H77 from Mr. Hobby, that's a very nice colour as well. I think in this instance, I'm going to use the MRP because it's very, very thin, it goes down beautifully, it dries very fast, and we've already got black primer on there, so it's going to be no problem at all with it going down. You don't need to prime with MRP at all, but it's just that the paint is quite thin, so you tend to have to put a lot of coats on to get the good coverage, especially when you've got, like, this is actually like an off-white plastic. You can see what colour the plastic there when you look at the tracks. It's like an off-white colour. I don't know why, but they did. So yeah, we're going to get these tyres sprayed. So I'll get some of this in the airbrush. I'll just get the airbrush over here. Is the compressor on? Yes, the compressor is on. So give this a good shake. We'll get some of this into the airbrush. We'll just get a little bit down. Don't need to put too much on there. Always put the lid back on. Wipe off the neck, otherwise you'll find you can't get the lid off next time you come to use it. This is the sort of intermediary type MRP bottle with the dispensable top that was absolutely awful. They've gone to this type now, they've just got a screw-on cap because those things were bloody awful. So we got that in there, and it's literally just out of the bottle into the airbrush and spray it. So I'm going to put this bit of paper here to protect the mat and cause all sorts of problems with the camera. But we can see here I'm at about 15 psi. I'm just going to go round, make sure we get the back done as well. You can see there's the colour, and if I compare it to the black, you can see the slight difference in colour, but it's because it's MRP. It's going to dry really, really tough, be scratch resistant. It'll be really, really nice. So I'm going to get the rest of these done in the booth because this MRP paint absolutely stinks and you don't want to be breathing it in. And then I'll come back when it's dry and we'll start using this this lovely little mask. Okay, so we've got all our tyres painted, as you can see, all done in the MRP rubber black, or tyre rubber I think it's called. Very nice they look too. So now what we need to do is mask the tyres and paint the wheels, and I'm going to use LP5 semi-gloss black. The one thing I've noticed with these tanks, in all the images I've got, they all seem to have a little bit of a sheen to them. And I'm going to go along with that, and I'm going to give my model basically a very thin coat of Tamiya semi-gloss primer, just to give them clear coat, just to give them a bit of a sheen. I may even use the MRP one, just because it's just a sheen I want. I don't want it to be semi-gloss, I just want the sheen. But I don't want the wheels to be dead matte, so I thought I'd use this, and if I put it on dry, it should give me a very sort of, a very, very semi-gloss. It'll be more like a semi-matte. So This one is already pre-mixed, as you can see. I've written on the jar air, so I've got my semi-gloss black there ready to go. We'll get the airbrush over, we'll get our cloth, and we can put some paint in the airbrush straight from the jar. There we go. And we wipe off the side of the airbrush, and we wipe off the side of the jar, and we always put the lid back on the paint, and always put it back on properly. Don't just put it back on, because sometimes you put it on and you do this, you put it on like that, you place it on, and then you go to pick the paint up, and sometimes the lid will just stick to the jar and it's enough to pick it up and knock it over. So we'll always put the lid back on properly. So then, for this I'm going to use this mask, which was kindly sent to me by Quick Wheel, and this is QW272, and it's for the British main battle tank Chieftain Meng TS-051, which is what I have here. And as you can see, this is like a sheet of some sort of material. It's like Bakelite or something, and what they've done, they've cut the holes. So obviously they make these on a strip, they cut the holes in a strip, and then they put this blue self-adhesive tape on one side, and then they put them onto a jig, probably pick up on 4 holes or something here, and then cut out the holes and then cut out the outside shape with the laser. So yeah, very nicely done indeed. But this is actually self-adhesive, so when you put the wheel in, this jig will actually stick to it. Okay, so we can actually put 6 wheels in here, so I don't need these stalks anymore. So I can take my wheels off of their stalks. So we've got 6 there, so we do. One more. There we go, and we can just literally plonk these in here, and they will stick. And if you want to do the backs as well, they will also work for the backs. So we can put all 6 wheels in there, just like that. Just like so, make sure they're the way around. And then I'm just going to make sure, where's a cocktail stick? I need a cocktail stick. I'm just going to make sure, don't use anything more aggressive than a cocktail stick. I just want to make sure this mask has gone down, so I'm not going to get any bleed. Because it looks like the adhesive is sort of caught on the edge of the rim and pulled the mask sort of up slightly, which is fine if you're spraying dry, but if you've got a bit of a wet coat going down, you may get some bleed. So I think it's probably worth doing this. And then we've also got the bits for the return rollers, the track guides or whatever they're supposed to be called, I don't know. They're going to go like that. So you've got 3 of them. There we go. So they're going in there like that, they're nicely lined up. Just go around with the cocktail stick just to make sure. Yeah, they're all good. That's just me being fussy, to be honest. Now this one here, if you remember when I did the review, I wondered if it was for the idlers, and the idlers don't actually have a tyre on them. What it's actually for is the sprocket. As you can see here, what you can do is paint the silver teeth, and then you can put your sprocket in there and paint the wheel, and it will leave the silver teeth exposed. I would rather use weathering techniques to get the silver teeth on there, so it sort of looks chipped and everything. So I'll do it that way rather than the way they're suggesting here. So all we've got to do now is, using this mask, is spray our wheels. Now what I'm going to do here, I'm going to spray like this. I'm not going to go in all the angles because I want bits of green exposed, just for a bit of interest. Probably not accurate. The guys that painted them were probably very, very thorough, but this one was a day after he had a hangover and he couldn't be bothered, so there we go. So I'm just going to spray this black on here, keeping it dry, not letting it wet. God, this LP paint stinks as well. Actually, we'll go on a bit of an angle. I'm just going to leave some green in there, so when you look at the wheel, like that, it's black, but when you go like that, you can see green in there, in here. So yeah, I think that's the effect I'm after. Right, I will carry on and do the others, just show you how Return rollers look. As I say, keep the paint dry, don't let it wet, don't let it flood. There we go. That's them done as well. So handy little tool that actually. It's great to be able to do all 6, you know, just going to be 2 loads and that'll be it, be done. So I'm going to get on and get it finished in the booth because of the smell, and I'll see you back in a minute. And there we go guys, that literally took about 2 minutes. So easy. I think I'll be using these again. But what we do now is take the wheel out, which is easier said than done. It's quite a pull to get it out actually, to be honest. Maybe it's because I put it in too soon and the MRP paint isn't quite dry and the chemicals are reacting. Maybe it's because I pushed the tape down. But you can see, I can see already, we have got a wonderful tire demarcation. Look at that. That is really, really nice. So yeah, very impressed. I mean, obviously they're going to get dusted up and dirted up and stuff. But how lovely is that, guys? I know a lot of you have asked me questions before about painting tank wheels and it's your nightmare job and everything, but that's certainly one way to make them very easy. So I'm going to plonk the rest in. Let's see how well they stick second time. Yep, just as good as the first time. Where's my cocktail stick gone? There it is. Just run around there with a cocktail stick. There we go. So I'll get the rest done and then I'll come back and we'll see how this thing cleans up. Alright, there we go. If you're one of these modelers who is restricted for time, I know a lot of you comment and say, you know, you only get sort of 20 minutes a day or whatever, and you're into your military stuff, I would get a couple of these because I mean, I've never painted a set of wheels so fast. It's literally, it's less than 10 minutes since I started this. So, I mean, that's just incredible. Having all those wheels done, and I know now why they call it quick wheel. It's called quick wheel, isn't it? Yeah, it's just incredible. I mean, it's not 10 minutes since I started doing the rubber black. It's 10 minutes since I started masking off. Less than that. So yeah, that's amazing. So to clean it up, I'm going to try leveling thinners. So we should be able to clean it up and get it back good as new. Get some leveling thinners on. I don't want to wipe it too hard because I don't want to remove the glue from that tape. That seems to be working. You've probably got a video out there somewhere that tells you how to do this and what to use and what not to do, and I'm probably doing everything wrong. Hey ho. So yeah, very impressed. I've just caught the edge of that one, but I don't think it matters because when it goes on a wheel it'll just go back down again. But maybe it's best not to actually clean them up, just leave them dirty. But, or even have the rag down flat. No. Yeah, it's cleaned it up, but it's damaged that one slightly. I'm just wondering if I put a wheel in there. Yeah, you can see it's absolutely fine. So yeah, you can clean them up. Probably though, if I were to do this again, I would just leave the paint on there. It's not hurting, it's very thin. So there we go. So that can go back in its bag. And if I do another Chieftain, or another tank with similar size wheels, I could use it again. So what a great little tool. Again, that was the quick wheel mask for the Meng Chieftain QW272. So very, very nice indeed. Lovely. Right, let's see how these look on the tank. So we need to get all this unmasked. I think we finished all our painting now, so I can actually unmask all this. What a waste. I must have used about 10 rolls of masking tape on this thing. I'm exaggerating, guys. I am exaggerating. If I've told you once, I've told you a million times. So here we go. This is your, what I think you missed, your part 10 unmasking video. I'm sure I put it out because I'm sure I remember seeing comments. I may have deleted the video by mistake after after I put it out there. But I think what I've done is deleted it before I've even put it onto YouTube. So that's the trouble. I have a file with all my videos that go... Get off! I have a file that all my videos go into, and that kind of builds up, and every now and again I go in and give it a clear out. And then stupidly, it's a habit I shouldn't have and I should stop doing. As soon as I've done the clear out, I then go into recycle bin and clear them all out of there so they're gone for good. Which is stupid really, because if I then decide that I shouldn't have got rid of one or two, like in this case, then I can't retrieve it. Never mind. And some of you may want to say, oh yeah, but you can retrieve it because it's probably still in such and such, such and such. It's not. I have no recovery or anything. And it would have been done probably 3 weeks ago. I mean, today is September the 5th. I was hoping to have this done by now because it was a group build that started on July the 1st. So it's been going on a bit long. But most of it has been held up waiting for these tracks. Once again, I'm waiting for these tracks, and if this time they're no good, I'm sure they're not going to. I'm sure they're going to be brilliant. But if there are any problems this time, I'm just going to use the Meng ones. And what oh, your name slips me, mate. I'm sorry. You went on. If you look on the track, although the track video's gone, this guy went on there, and he I think it was Mark, wasn't it? He went on there, went on eBay and found some little plastic rivets you could buy, and he actually put them. Look at that white paint coming off of there. He actually found some rivets you could buy, and he actually cut them to the right length and shoved them in the holes in the tracks. He sent me a picture. They look great. So that's all good. So there we are. So that's pretty much unmasked. Done one side anyway. So now we can see how she's... Get off. Go away. Now we can see how she's going to look. It is baking hot here. That white dust is a pain, isn't it? Right. I need to get this tape out of here. I'm leaving the camera going because a lot of people enjoy watching unmasking, believe it or not. They really do. Let's see how clean that edge is on there. Look at that. Happy with that. And there's a tiny little piece in there. And there we are. There's our... So we've got our grey gearboxes at the back, and as you can see they're onto the green where the line is, because they were brush painted. And I've got some liquid mask in here, which has got to come out. Should get a grab hold of that. Pull it out, it's all breaking up. Leave it off. I'll do that afterwards under a magnifier. So here we go. So we have... I didn't spray the idlers in my sockets, did I? Luckily I've still got paint in the paintbrush. Let me paint them and I'll come back. Okay, there we go. So, I'll get our main road wheels on. I'm not going to push them on all the way, just going to give you a visual. Because all you can see on the Meng is bloody light grey wheels, which is incorrect. And some people tell you to paint the wheels green, which is also incorrect. So they're going to go in there. I should have put these on first. They're going to sit in there like that. We're just going to have one of those. And then we've got at the front, well, the rear is sprocket, so I'm not worried about touching. The paint's still sticky. I'm not worried about touching it because I'm going to be doing the edges in silver. And then on the front, we have our idler. Again, I'm going to do the edges in bare metal. So that's going to go in there like so. So there you can see how your Berlin tank will look if it's all like fresh out the factory. Is this the front? Yes, it is. Let's see how much better this sticks on here now. Yeah, unfortunately it's bowed. I don't know why. Because of the warm weather, perhaps? I don't know, but it's actually bowed, and it was nice and flat. There we go. So there we are, that's that on there, and you can see how that's going to look with the wheels sticking out the bottom of these side skirts, bazooka plates, whatever they're supposed to be called. So we've got to get the mud guards painted, and then we've got to give the whole thing a clear coat, and then we're going to start with some washes and a little bit of weather. I'm not going to go mad because these things, they were like from the book I've got that Phil, the lovely Phil sent me. They're either really beat up, well not beat up, but they're really dirty or really clean. There doesn't seem to be any sort of in the middle. So I'm going to have this one a bit dusty, like it's been down a dusty road in the summer, but not all plastered in mud and everything, because it would appear that that wasn't how they got, because at least in everyday use it looks like these were probably some of the best maintained tanks on the planet, to be honest, looking at the books. So we shall see. Anyway, I'm going to get the rest of that masking off, and I will see you back for part 11, which is going to be the tracks assembly, and then we'll get some final assembly done on this for part 12. So that's been a very quick video, I know, but I wanted to get something out there. As I say, today is September the 5th, and I've had nothing out from this for ages, so I wanted to get something out there. They predict that the tracks will arrive September the 11th, so that's like another week still to go. So I thought I'd get something out so that you don't think I've given up on this one like I give up on some other things. So, and no, I haven't given up on the Lancaster. So there we go. If this weather keeps up, my video schedule will slow down a bit, because obviously it's not very good for painting. I mean, this is like, what is it now? It's gone 8 o'clock at night, so it's cooled down a touch. Can't do any painting during the day, it's a joke. So yeah, I want to start on the A20, but there's no way, because the first thing we got to do is the cockpit, and we're going to have to paint the cockpit and everything, and trying to paint matte paints in this heat, it's just asking for trouble. You get a very rough finish. It's very hard to get it to go down unless you thin it to within an inch of its life. It's very hard to get matte paint to get a nice smooth finish, unless of course it's MRP. That goes down nice. I do have some MRP, but I don't think I have the cockpit green colour I need. Well, I may do actually, because I bought some for the B-52 cockpit. So we shall see. Let's just get this bit of masking tape off here. If you've had enough, you may as well go now, because there's nothing more to see, nothing more to learn. As you can see, the amount of masking tape that's been consumed on this thing is ridiculous. And there we are. There she is, completely unmasked. Bits of white powder everywhere. And very happy with how she's come out. We've got some masking tape to come off of there as well. Off of that viewport. I've got sweat, which has gone into my eye. There we go. Because I wanted to leave these. Again, we've got liquid mask on there. I wanted to leave these black. Ah, okay, there's another piece of masking tape on there as well. So there's a piece of masking tape covering the lens, and then there's a piece of masking tape covering the whole thing, because basically the block is painted black, So you mask the block, paint the lens. There's liquid mask down there, tiny bits of it. There we go, you can see it coming out now. Come on. No, I'll do it off camera. I'll see you again, guys, for part 11, part 12, whatever it's going to be, and we'll go from there. Thank you for watching. Sorry for all my cock-ups. I'll see you all soon.